Hello everybody, this is Justin, and today I'm going to show you what you need to do to set up a Minecraft mod, the very beginning steps, and that would be creating your very first file. But before I do that, I'd just like to show you what our goal is, or at least our first goal is for this series. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this world that I've already created for test purposes and show you. This is it, but I'll just show you that we can get rid of this stuff. And if I go into the miscellaneous tab and scroll down, it's right here. JCalc and JCircuit. And what these two items, well, block and item, do are let you do calculations inside of Minecraft. So for example, if I plop this block down and I right click on it, it'll say this field plus this field equals not available, missing circuit. And the way you counteract this is by putting in a JCircuit. And you can shift click this in, whatever you want, and now you can do some calculations. So for example, I'll take 37, multiply it by 63, multiply, and you get some number. Minus, blah, blah, blah. As you see, it can support negative numbers. Go in here. And the only one that you might expect to be a little bit counterintuitive would be division. You see negative 37 divided by 63, definitely not 0. And the reason this is because it is integer division. So for example, 2 does not go into 1 any amount of times. But 10 divided by 3, for example, this will be 3 because 3 goes into 10 3 times with a little bit of a remainder. With 4 times 2 is 8 with a remainder of 2. So that's integer division. And this is going to be our goal for the series. So let's get started. Alrighty guys, so the first thing that we need to do, and the main goal of this tutorial, is to create the main mod file. And this mod I'm going to call JCalc, just like that other one. And to do this, I'm going to go into my source, into my Minecraft folder right here in Eclipse, click on this little triangle, and then click on this triangle next to source, and we can see that we have a ton of packages, all the Minecraft packages from MCP, and then also all the Forge Mod Loader packages. That doesn't stand for what you think it does. So if we right click on source and click new package, you can do this in IntelliJ, whatever you want. You don't even need an IDE, but this is how you do it in Eclipse. So I'm just going to type in whatever I want for my package name. For example, this. And let me explain this just in case you don't know. This right here is basically your unique identifier, you can think of it as. So, for example, my name is Justin P. Lubin, and my website is going to be justinplubin.com. So a common convention would be to do com.justinplubin and then your product name. So that's what I'm doing. This can be your last name, first name, last name, middle initial, first initial. It can be anything you want, but it just has to be unique. So this is my unique identifier, and this is my product. So I'm going to go ahead and press finish. All right, so now we have this blank package, and we're going to create our very first file. So I'm just going to right click on it and go new class. You can also press this class button up here. New class. And we're presented with this screen. So for our name, you can actually name this whatever you want to name. I'm just going to call it JCalc because, well, that makes sense because this is going to be our main file. That'll take a second because this is the first time that I'm creating something. Yeah, whenever it says building, that usually means that it's the first time you're doing something. So now we've created our JCalc file. Right. What we're going to want to do is now we're going to go, we're going to create a annotation right here, and you most likely haven't seen something like this before, so I'm just going to go ahead and type it in, and then I'll explain what it means. Mod ID equals JCalc, name equals JCalc. Whoops, that really messed up. And lastly, you're just going to need a version equals 1.0.0. 1.0.0. And now I'm just going to press Shift Command O, and you see that it imports this all nice and everything, and I don't get any more errors. Now, there's a pretty good chance you've never heard of an annotation before, and if you have, you've probably seen something like at override, can't type, at override or like at suppress warnings or at suppress warning. But this actually is a Forge annotation. And it's telling Forge that this is our main class, we're going to load everything from this class, so look here. Because Forge isn't going to load all of our classes at once, it's just going to load this. And this is telling it, this is our unique mod ID, usually lowercase. Our name doesn't have to be, by the way. Our name is what our official name of the mod is. You can have spaces in here, whatever you want. Pretty sure you can have spaces in there too, but why risk it? So anyways, and our version is a string of the number of the version. It's not a number, an actual number. It's a string of a number. So that's the @mod thing, and you only need to do this once, and that's in this, your main file. However, a better way of doing this would be to create something, a final variable, public final static mod ID, and set it equal to like jcalc, and then have a public final static mod name, set it to jcalc, and this way we can refer to it from other classes and whatnot. Oh, why is this giving me errors? Oh, I need string. That's embarrassing. So we can do mod version here and set this equal to 1.0.0. And now we can do this. jcalc.modid, jcalc.modName, and jcalc.modVersion, and it's all good to go. And also, just for some options, if you want, you can put this on whatever line you want. Sometimes I like to do it like this, I don't know. Just showing you your options. Okay, so that's set up. Next thing we're going to need to do is create an instance of our class. And you do this by going @instance public static jcalc instance. And you're probably thinking, oh god, this is going to be complicated. But rest assured, this is second to last annotation that we're going to need for, I think, a while. But don't trust me on that, I lie. Okay. The next thing we need to do is create another quick class. So I'm going to click on New Class again and call it Common Proxy. Get rid of this, make it on a new line, and you actually don't need anything in here. Told you it was going to be quick. Now something slightly less quick is going to be called Client Proxy. Just bear with me for a second, and right here I'm going to press or type extends common proxy, and you're done. Okay, now you're probably wondering what, and I'll explain to you. A proxy is something where we're going to be rendering all of our stuff. We have custom tile rendering, but that's usually complicated, but it's good to set it up first so you don't have to worry about it. And the last annotation we're going to need, actually I lied, but the other annotations actually make sense as opposed to these, is this, @sided proxy. And it's going to be client side equals com.justinplubin.jcalc.client proxy. Yeah. If you want, you can put this in a separate package. I think I might actually just do that. New package and do a client right here. Up to you. Just going to move this into the client. Okay. Just makes more sense. .client.proxy. That's a common usage or way of doing it. And server side equals com.justinplubin.jcalc. Took me a second there. .common proxy. And after we're done with this line, all the complicated stuff is over for this tutorial. Public static common proxy. And like I said, oh, you need to do another Shift Command O to import it, and all good. Like I said, this is for rendering stuff, and we're actually not going to use this for a long time. Okay, now, what we need to do next is, back up here, is @network mod. And this one kind of makes sense as well, as opposed to some of the past ones, mainly these two. And the syntax for @network_mod goes like this. Client side required. And you can set this to true or false. Obviously, you need it for true because this isn't a server mod. Server side required. Oh my gosh. Required equals false because, well, we don't need the server. And actually, that's it for now. Okay, another Shift Command O, and we're all good to go. Wow, that surprisingly rhymed. All right. Few last things that we need to do are public void pre-init fml pre-initialization event. And we just need to maybe copy this. And this probably doesn't make any sense, but it will in a very short amount of time. Okay, I'm going to go over this now. Okay, so I basically just created, I need another Shift Command O, created 3 public void methods. And the first one is called pre-init, and it takes in an FML pre-initialization event parameter. And this pre-init is used for like loading in all of our config and setting all of our configuration. That's basically the same thing, but it's for registering stuff. This init method is like setting block harvest levels and maybe communicating with some other mods and whatnot. And then this post init is kind of weird. It runs after your mod is initialized. Don't really use this a whole often, but mainly use these two, and in particular this one. Final words for this tutorial, and then we are done with this, is @event handler, copy this, slap it on here and here, and this is basically just telling Forge that here's our pre-init method, here's our init method, and here's our post-init method. Sorry if I just touched my mic there. Otherwise, it doesn't really know which method is what. And you can name this whatever you want. It could be this for all I care, but this is just for our ease. It doesn't have to be called these. The way that the @event handler determines what event is, what function is what event is by the parameter. So the pre-initialization event, the @event handler is like, okay, this is the pre-init, this is the init, this is the post-init. So I believe we're done. Yeah, we are. We're not gonna, well, sure, let's run. We have a little bit of time left. We have 2 buttons here. We have our debug button and our run button. And I'm gonna explain the difference right now. Run just runs it like any old Java application, like you run any Java application. Debug, on the other hand, is a bit more interesting. For example, if I have a method that isn't quite working exactly how I want it, and I press debug, while it's running, I can change the code, and as I'm changing the code and as it's running, it gets updated live. So that's a really handy feature because Minecraft can take a while to start up. But right now, all we need is this, the run, because we don't exactly have a ton of complicated code. So this will take a second to load up. And if we go to our mods, we can see jcalc, yay! This can be named whatever you want, of course, and runs properly and everything. So with this final screen, I'll end it here. And stay tuned next time. We're probably going to start actually coding our first block, which is going to be that jcalc. So stay tuned for next time. If you liked the video, just leave a like, maybe subscribe, and have a wonderful day.